Today, folks, it is that time of the week where we're going to broad view my Canadian stock portfolio with the idea of talking about cost averaging into the many, with my largest holding being in these two ETFs. And then we're going to focus on the few with my major concentrated positions being Google, Meta, Take-Two. I mean, we've recently saw a massive password breach, a hack across all these platforms, including Apple, leading to these stocks being pretty suppressed today. We'll talk a bit about Take-Two, what's going on in the realm of smaller cap stocks, but we got a lot to get into. So these are things that I'm just personally interested in. If you're on a path to financial independence, if you love stocks and investing, you want to join me on your financial journey, consider hitting that subscribe button, folks, because we'll roll back, broad view the market here. Firstly, with my broader ETFs, and I'm still shocked almost 6 months into the year that the Canadian markets continue to excel against the US markets. VDI, or VDY, till I'm motherfucking die, my monthly paying Canadian dividend ETF is up 4.74%, excluding that juicy dividend, those passive incomes that this spits out over the last 6 months, probably definitely putting us well above the S&P's performance, up 1.55%. And if we take a look on the week, however, I mean, the S&P's down 0.66%. It's been a very boring week as things start to cool off. You know, the metals market's cooling off. Even with the volatility in oil, we're not seeing as much growth there currently this week. But overall, you couldn't really throw a dart at the board and start printing like we've seen in the past weeks. But still, the S&P TSX down about 0.25%. Again, still outpacing the S&P this week. But again, same performance. Not a lot going on in the non-energy minerals, not a lot going on in the the oil and energy space. The banks are keeping the market up this week, but again, fairly boring. But we are at the end of a quarter here, and it's going to be exciting to start looking at earnings coming out that will be the defining factor to some of my individual positions that we should talk about, because I believe this is going to be a transitional next few months for Google. We're talking about the monopolistic fines and the remedies coming in August. We're going to get earnings where I'm hoping we get a definement to their new AI models, how many people have signed up for a subscription, and I'm presuming that things are going to be exceptionally well, and I'm hoping we can get back off to the races with this company because it is back below my cost average again. It is the largest single stock position I've ever taken on, and I do plan on scaling it down if we get back to what I consider a reasonable valuation of somewhere around a 25 to 30 times multiple. I think that is coming in the near term, and when that happens, I will probably cut the position about in half and then just kind of keep the rest of it long. But we are seeing, again, the reason these stocks are suppressed, 16 billion Apple, Facebook, Google, and other platform passwords were leaked. And it's crazy because there's not even 16 billion people on the planet. So the fact that there's been that many leaks just basically means all your information's out there. And thank God for two-step, because, you know, someone tried to hack my Facebook, and because I had two-step turned on, I got that notification, oh, to log in, please insert the code or whatever, the 6-digit number, and I saved my account. But I'm thinking today I'll go through and maybe update a lot of my passwords on the important accounts that I have, and I highly recommend you do the same. But it's so dumb because they make you do these really precise passwords to only get leaked anyways. It's like, what's the point? And I also found it interesting. There's 2 points I want to talk about with Google and why I'm still very bullish. Firstly, they have YouTube, and you know, how do you think they're training these models? I'm surprised creators are unaware that to some extent they have been using YouTube videos to train their AI models. That just seemed obvious to me, and I thought that was one of the value adds that Google had to training their data. And then on top of that, Tesla's launching their self-driving to compete with Google. Google's the leading company in self-driving. You know, people keep arguing with me that, oh, they're geofenced, oh, they have to be monitored, and it's like, you don't realize that Google's on the forefront and could scale up the technology whenever they want. They're dealing with regulators, and now Tesla's waking up to the cruel reality of what regulations look like. Not that I'm trying to batter Tesla by any metric, but take a listen to the updates here.
Somewhat of a subdued launch of the robotaxi service. There will be a limited number of robotaxis that will be starting their service. And keep in mind, the customers are by invitation. So it's not like if you're in Austin this week and you say, you know, I want to take a robotaxi. And
this is a really, really cautious stepping stone into this market. You can tell the fear that Tesla has to not screw this up with regulators, because it will substantially put back their time of actually implementing this into the market.
The way it's going to work, you will have to be invited by Tesla.
That's correct.
And I'm sure they've already got the people marked who will be testing the vehicles. It will also be in a geo-fenced area of Austin. So again, it's not like they're going all over Central Texas, going from Austin to Pflugerville and back. They're going to be in a small area. And also keep in mind, the robotaxis will, while they will not have drivers in them, and they will be Model Ys that have the latest autonomous vehicle technology, there will be remote drivers who will be watching the vehicles at all times. So how does Wall Street look at this?
So I don't know how you can be overly bullish on Tesla and not Google when there's the clear defining factor that the regulators are controlling this market, and all the criticism that, all these Tesla bulls put on Google saying, Waymo's ugly, Waymo's geofence, Waymo has to have monitored people behind a desk making sure the cars are functioning. And then all of a sudden Tesla's now in the same boat and they're going to be limited to their release and you have to be by invite only. I don't think I've ever heard something so bearish for a company that was promising a flick of a switch and my car would be a robotaxi. That is clearly much further out than where we sit today. And Google should still be, the canary in the coal mine to this entire industry because they are leading it, which is why I'm shocked that Tesla's demanding 176 times multiple and, Google's still sitting at a 19. I would buy Tesla any day if it wasn't for the fact that they're seeing a declining auto market. Tesla's in the second wave where they have to prove their growth and they can't screw this up or it is going to be detrimental to their valuation, because I'm still a Tesla bull at heart and people think I hate on Tesla. And it's not because I'm just against it. It's just that I think it has this kind of like underlying toxic fume that needs to be cleared before I'd be willing to jump in at this valuation. And I'm seeing the same kind of rhetoric across many investors out there, like Financial Education. And it's why I harp on it so hard, because I love it and I have a deep passion for what the company's doing. Now, in the other spectrum of deep passion stocks, Take-Two Interactive continued to hit all-time highs this week, including today, before pulling back a bit. And this is a stock I'm not sure. I'm still speculating we're going to get a massive run up. Kind of what ends up happening where you get, a big release of some media entertainment. Everyone and their grandmother's going to be talking about GTA 6. And we might be getting a bit of a momentum play here with a lot of insider ownership that I think is what's keeping the stock up and could continue to squeeze it substantially higher. And eventually, again, I'm going to be pivoting these stocks out of my TFSA because I do have a rather large position. I'm just trying to sit idly because I don't want to make that mistake of playing with my portfolio too much. But the end game here in the next year is to start pivoting these all out of my TFSA. I do want to own a percentage of them in my corporate account. Take-Two is my shortest term play. I do not want this longer than a year. I just want to play on the GTA 6, and I still think this thing is going to be a 60 to 80 billion value. If we get there beforehand, I will likely liquidate a good chunk of the position, but for now I'm comfortable sitting and waiting in the market environment that is proving to still be very bullish and speculative in nature. Meta, I'm very excited to see their take as they look at the next growth phase being with their glasses they're launching. We're talking about monetizing WhatsApp. Finally, WhatsApp is crazy that they're going to be monetizing this. That app alone, along with Threads and all the new platforms, they have these massive growth periods that are going on right now with that they're just starting to monetize. Again, there's speculation that I think Google or Meta could become some of the top 2 or 3 largest market cap companies. I think Google should be number 1 today if we base any of this future speculation on the cherries on top, that Tesla can pull forward all that value and Google can't even get a hint of it. And then Meta, because Meta has the growth. I mean, you can't argue Meta is the fastest growing S&P top 10 company next to NVIDIA right now. But I think Meta has a longer term standing and a more resilient platform than NVIDIA, because NVIDIA is like selling the picks to the miners. Eventually they might not need the picks the same way they do today. But I think Facebook, I think Instagram, Threads, I think all these platforms and WhatsApp are going to be long standing for quite some time into the future. Now, when we talk about small caps, I think one of the bellwethers, canary in the coal mines, call it whatever you want. I think when we see Chamath Palihapitiya wanting to get back into SPACs is a sign that we are back into a speculative market, a market where people are willing to take on more risk. And this market could be amplified if we see interest rate cuts, in my opinion, because when people have more access to liquidity, cheaper short-term capital, that tends to be more advantageous in the venture capital markets. And a guy that is very famous for the venture capital markets is Chamath, a guy that pumped up, took stocks to the moon in 2021, through special purpose acquisition companies to only drop his bag on retail. It is how he became a billionaire, and he's become a definement in the marketing space. If you're in marketing, you need to look at Chamath's history, because it is absolutely remarkable how this guy dropped so many bags. And he's like, should I launch a SPAC? And the readers added context saying it's important to mention here that Chamath has a history of launching SPACs, and those launched during COVID have shown horrible returns, often more than minus 70% since their peak. And you can see most people said, no, Chamath, you've made so much money. Why are you going to go back down this path? And in his pure arrogance, incredible that almost 58 people voted, and I hope everyone that voted no feels seen. It's like, why did you even put the poll up then? Now on to business. I got calls from many Wall Street and crypto titans yesterday, and they all want in, and their vote matters a lot to me, so I will probably do it. Yeah, because these crypto titans and these people that are like, hey, like, we have these companies, we need to bring them public. You want to help us do it through another SPAC because it's easier to bring those to market, and then you can make your 10-20% and unload it all again. I will probably do it, because why say no to another $1 billion bag, baby? Maybe this time it will go better. Who knows? The risks are clear, though. The last time wasn't a success by any means. I will include this poll and other community notes in every SEC filing possible. It will make an excellent disclosure about the risks and is not short of irony. So what kind of companies do you guys want? No crying in the casino. But again, it just seems so arrogant to me that like you would post a poll like this where you were like thinking that everyone was on your side, and the second they weren't, you're like, well, screw you anyways. I'm a billionaire. I'll do what I want. He's such a perplexing guy because I have so much like respect for him, but when he comes off like this, it's just the raw arrogance is insane to me. And I know we're in a speculative market to some extent because this is happening, but we're also seeing, again, not a lot of small caps catch a bid right now. I mean, Virgin Galactic is one of those stocks that he brought public via SPAC. And I mean, you watch the explosion and the volatility that happened before this absolutely cratering. Again, most companies, guys, in the venture capital space end up looking like this, but you can find some pretty big baggers if you know what you're doing. Something we talk about on this channel quite a bit. I mean, you can see the Russell 2000 with how well things, like, I mean, you look at things again, like Rocket Labs, like TMC out there right now, like Aduro Clean Tech. Like, I'm seeing so many small caps that are going absolutely parabolic, a lot of IPOs. I'm shocked that the Russell 2000 has not caught a bid. I mean, you got to remember, Tom Lee was super bullish on this sector this year, and it hasn't gone very far at all. But again, like I said, it's weird because we're seeing it's a good time to be a speculator because we are seeing more volatility and more people willing to take risk. And again, I don't know if this is a sign that we are now back in a more speculative, risky market that could correct to some major extents, bubbles, overvaluations, or if this is the start of a new bull market where we could start seeing credit liquidity come into play with the the cut of interest rates, all that money sitting in money market funds that will be looking for a place in the market. So it'll be neat to see if this kind of momentum continues. But congrats to the bulls that hold through and we're able to get into some of these stocks at good values. Otherwise, I've just been looking at the broader markets here, and I'm just trying not to do too much because I do want to do some mass adjustments because I don't like the risk of owning some of these stocks in my TFSA, but at the same time, I recognize that up value is tax-free, but the downside loses that contribution room. But I'm at that final phase, as I've been telling you guys, of my portfolio publicity on this channel. And I'm going to do some final updates, in the coming future here, probably in the next year, where I'm just going to be like, hey, like, we've done well. If these bets that I'm making to continue to work out and I, continue to build up my portfolio to where I want it to be for what I would consider, not financially free, but set in a way where I'm not relying on jobs or anything. That's on the very close horizon here, unless we get a black swan event. And I'm not sure what this channel is going to look like past that point. But for now, I'm hoping you guys are enjoying the journey. You're taking it in. You've been learning a lot since I've been fully public with 100K since 2019, to the point now where my fiance and I have, surpassed the $1 million mark together as I show you guys just the public portfolio that I'm managing, excluding like real estate values and stuff like that. But the end game here is to just get the mortgage finally paid off, max out these tax advantaged accounts, and we're inching ever so closer to knowing in the next couple years, we'll be knocking on that door. And again, I feel like that'll be the point where, things will probably change a little bit. I'm not sure what that looks like, but I'm excited, and I hope you guys are here for the growth as well. But I'd love to know what you think about all of this in that comment section below.